Okay, welcome to the Stampscapes test lab. We're going to be using a couple of the new images along with some of the existing imagery. And we're going to do a really quick application of the new designs. And in doing so, what we're going to do is we're going to start off with a piece of the wood grain paper. It's just some cheap placemat type of paper, cut down into 4¼ by 5½ standard quarter size card. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be stamping my imagery on here with a little bit of a thicker black ink than just a dye-based ink. I find that it stamps better on a pre-printed paper because this paper is coated with printer's ink. So going with a little bit of a thicker ink, your pigment inks, your hybrid inks, something like VersaFine Clear would be fine, that type of thing. I'm going to be stamping some Joshua trees in here, going around this figure with the two dogs. And I happen to be using a hybrid ink, which is a combination of oil-based pigment and water-based dye ink. Okay, so we just need some space for our imagery. This is a big image right here, but in scenic stamping you don't have to use the entire image. Things do go off the side of the page quite often. All right, so you get some really strong impressions with a little bit of a thicker ink. You can use a dye-based ink, but it would come out, everything's stamped on this type of paper. Usually comes out in some form of gray. Okay, I guess you can say that for just about any ink, but black ink. But in this case, a very absorbent paper and one that's kind of coated with a printer's ink is going to resist some of the transfer of ink onto the surface, and that's how certain inks work, is by staining the surface. So if it's a little bit coated, and it's also absorbent in some ways, you'll get some lighter version of that ink. Okay, so you can just kind of experiment on it. This paper is really inexpensive, and you can get a pack of 11 by 17 for I forget how many sheets. It might be 50 or 100 sheets or something like that. Okay, so let's stamp out my character here. I'm going to put him a little bit, let's go about like so. Okay. First time using that stamp. Now I have these footsteps here, okay, footprints, and I think I'm going to just color in not the very distant ones, the smallest ones up here, because I don't need those ones in this case because the character isn't that far away. So all you need to do is just color in the portion that you're going to need. I'm going to take stamp pad to stamp. I mean, I could just ink it all up and just wipe off what I don't need, but I can see my pad here, and I'll just kind of try to be careful about not inking up those most distant footprints. It's like footprints in the sand or dirt. Okay, so we have it like that, and there's about, I don't know, the 4 distant prints. I don't know, maybe 3 or something. Go like this. I'll kind of angle it in a way that's kind of close to that figure right there. Go like that. I don't know. Maybe the dogs don't leave prints. I'll add some in there for the dogs. I didn't make a stamp for like dog, prints. Good. And let's balance off the scene. In this set right here, there's the large, medium, and small Joshua tree here. Let's see about this medium one right here. Or do we go with the... Maybe you can go with a little bit distant. You can mix and match too. It doesn't have to be all Joshua trees, something like this in the distance. Yeah, we'll go like that. If you ever kind of are uncertain about something, now it's going to be flipped around, but you kind of hold your imagery up here and see what's going to, look the best for your composition. Let's go right over here. Things that are farther off in the distance usually are higher on the horizon level than the closer imagery, okay? Now it depends on, what size something's supposed to be too, somewhat. About like so. And let's see. I guess while we have this set out, let's use some additional rocks and we'll add those in. Have it coming in from both sides. Go like so. Kind of helps to frame the scene off, quite a bit. So you just use certain portions for what you want, and you have a nice kind of framed off walkway in here. Let's see, let's have some fun here. Let's add in, I'm looking at some different little imagery here. Here's a little horned toad. Here's a road runner. How about a desert, like tarantula here? And then, let's see. Let's push depth a little bit. Let's add in some reeds like this, some grass. I'm doing it right over the top of that scorpion, or tarantula. Yeah, because things are camouflage, so it's one of those things that if it's like it's like a mammal or something like that in a forest, I don't have it kind of obscured. It's usually out, very visible or something like that. But I don't know. In the desert, it's like things are kind of camouflage, so I don't mind having kind of like hidden types of fauna in a scene in the desert. I mean, things are very camouflaged out in a wooded scene too, certainly. But I don't know. I tend to think that maybe even more so in some of the like desert situations, and it's like life is like harsher, so it's like things are a little bit more I don't know, whatever. There's a certain level of kind of defense mechanisms for those creatures in those harsher environments. Okay, so we have that going, and let's see. I mean, we're almost done here. You could be done. I've added in the tiny rocks here just to kind of, when you have a common texture running through there, and one of the things about starting on a printed piece of paper like that with a textured background is you already have, a common texture and color scheme running through the entire scene. Here's an additional texture in the same color that our objects are in too, okay? I found this, this paper kind of interesting. I chose this portion up here that looks like a wood knot to be in the upper portion because it kind of looks like something in the sky. But anyway, so there's those wooden kind of natural wood textures going throughout, and then you added in this extra texturing in here in different amounts. So it's a little bit more condensed in the darker areas. So I've tapped it a few more times. Then you can see I've come in here in the lighter area. So it's a little bit darker on the edge, lighter in the middle, and that kind of creates a little bit of a framing for our pieces. But let's see, let's go in and let's see if we can kind of bring in a little bit more continuity in here than there already is. And let's see, here's a brown and a black colored pencil. And there's, you know, this color is already in here, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add in kind of a little bit of shading into here. Now, the brown is one thing. It's just going to hopefully make things a little bit richer. I'm putting it at the base of things, the rock here. Now, this isn't the color that's kind of, you know, kind of bring it all together. It's just like an additional layer in here, okay? So we'll see our characters right here casting a little bit of a shadow. And maybe on the bottom side of the rock and right at the base of the rock, I'll add a little bit of shadow. And even our tarantula is casting a little bit of a shadow. Okay, now the black is hopefully going to really kind of anchor everything down, and having a little bit of a grayscale addition will hopefully add to the overall kind of lighting, shading, you know, shade and light scheme. So just kind of add a little bit more right at the base, and then you kind of taper it off a little bit so you get this transitioning value from dark to light. So right next to the objects that are casting the light, you add a little bit more. And let's see, I'll add a little bit of like footprints, you know, from the dogs maybe, or something like that. We won't leave them out. And something like that. Very quick and easy. I thought about adding in like a moon or something like that. Might be a little bit too extreme, but I can add in like a little bit of like a white sun or something like that. I think that might be kind of interesting. I'm just going to do it in white here. When I do it in white, it can represent kind of a sun or a moon. But I think this is kind of like it adds to the, I don't know, kind of the time of day essence, I guess. I don't know. I'm trying to think of where I want this to be. If I put it right here, it's dead center, but I might want it over a little bit like this. Now, what I like to do, and I've mentioned this a lot of times in my videos, is I like to transition things so it's not just like one solid thing of, you know, white in this case, like light beams and things. I like to vary it, okay? So I'll show you what I'm going to do. 100% cotton ball, okay, with some white pigment ink, okay? Smash your cotton ball down and get it nice and flat, otherwise it's all frayed. You want to have some control about it. I'm kind of pinching this on the sides too to make it a little bit of a firmer you know, applicator. See, I'm pushing this against here too, you know, so I can have like a controlled, it's like a thumb or something that I'm kind of making here. All right, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit more up top here like this. So see, I added it right on the top. So tap it around for a bit. And then when it gets drier on here and you're applying it, it's a little bit more dry and you're applying less ink. And start moving your way down a little bit, okay? So you're applying it from heavier to lighter, thicker to thinner, I guess, too. And since we're starting off with a, you know, a darker than white piece of paper, this white should show up on here pretty good. And you can just keep tapping up here. You see I'm kind of taking in more ink and tapping it up there. My pad's kind of medium dampness, and it's not very wet. So I'm not applying too much, but that's kind of better because I have a lot more control over it that way. It's not going on like one big blob. So kind of control that, remove some of the ink off of your cotton ball. And when you apply kind of in more of a gradual type of application rate, you have more control over it. So, when you start inking in your areas, just kind of keep it really light like that. If you want to go darker, then you just kind of do it with repetition like that, okay? You want to have range to your applications, okay? If you're very auditory based, you can imagine this being like a voice or something like that. If you're constantly going heavy like that, it's like you're always shouting or something like that. All right, so we have that white up there. Now I'm going to go in with, I don't find the white colored pencil, at least mine doesn't apply to this very well. Even though the black and everything does, and a lot of other colors work really well in here, but the one that I'm using right here is a white pastel pencil. You can get different brands at this one. This one's a Schwan Stabilo Carbothello. Okay, they come in different sets, but I just have the white one. And I'm just going to go in here and just lightly on the tops of some of these rocks where it's kind of capturing some of the light, or maybe in here I'll put a little bit of this white. So it just kind of makes it look like, the white is kind of reflecting down here. With the pastel pencil, you'll probably want to spray seal this after you're done, with the spray fixative. Yeah, it's something like that. See a little bit of white reflection on there. I mean, you can try a white acrylic paint pen or something like that. Sometimes that's a little bit harsh though, where it's like pastel, you can just kind of dab off whatever you don't want. This one's kind of it's pastels, or so something like chalks or pastels. It's a very mellow, soft application of whatever color you're applying, in this case white. So yeah, something like that, and see how that kind of white makes a relationship with the object casting that light, be it a sun or a moon, I don't know, whatever it is. All right, so anyway, that is that. I'll get this matted off, and when I'm starting off with a piece of paper like this, I think that's pretty fun. You can go with any kind of matting around it. I kind of like to amp it up a little bit, so I like to go with a gold around it. But let me pause right here, and we'll format this card, and we'll show you what this looks like completed. Okay, so we're double matted up here. I put a little bit of white border around here. It picks with the sky object and the reflections down here a little bit. And then, like I said, I like to go with something a little bit more, I don't know, whatever, eye-catching or exciting around the perimeter like this. When the scene itself, I mean, it's not very intense with color intensity. There's not a wide range of hue in here. There's warm tones or something like that. I mean, it's for the character of it, but this gold here goes along with this warmer color scheme in here, and I think fits the character of the card, but it's a little bit more exciting with a little bit more of this reflective type of quality. So anyway, it makes for, I think, a pretty elegant color scheme, and I don't know, whatever surface media combination in here. Really minimal and quick and to the point, but I think, reasonably rich. And it's also really fun to do these quick and easy cards like this. So, just some really minimal types of materials here for this, with your black and brown. You don't even really need the brown. You know, you have your black ink, where my white ink is right here with the Brilliance white. Any brand of these, you know, would be fine. And that's just about it. Black and white, and let your, you know, surface of your cardstock, you know, do the work. And it doesn't have to be this wood grain paper. Here's this kind of suede paper that I really like working with. There's the antiqued vintage style papers like this that are really fun to do. They all kind of have that similar kind of warm tone to them. I'm sure there's other types like that, but you can go with any type of those patterned papers like that. It's really kind of fun. You can go with the one that has like, I don't know, it's like stars on the background or something like that. And maybe instead of using brown, you use like a blue tones or something like that to do your shading and add your tones that like that. Could look more like a winter night scene sometimes with cooler temperatures. Maybe instead of gold, you use a silver cardstock around the perimeter. You know, if you're using metallic. All right, anyways, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the card. And thanks as always for tuning into the Stampscapes channel.